Hi, I'm John from Just Whiskey. If you like today's show, please give it a thumbs up, very important, like, and subscribe. Speaking of subscribers, 2 thumbs up. We've reached the 500 subscriber mark. Thank you so much for everybody having faith and support with my channel and joining me on my journey. Very much appreciated. And remember, it's just whiskey, folks. So thanks for tuning in and subscribing to Just Whiskey. I also like to give a shout out to one of my subscribers that goes by the moniker of Sid Finch. Sid Finch has been a faithful subscriber for quite a while and has really helped me out behind the scenes doing his detective work with his Sherlock Holmes, a.k.a. Columbo. He's really helped me out in finding out bottle dates and just nerdy type stuff. The details behind some of these bottlings. So thank you, Sid. And then, speaking of him, he helped figure out the mystery of my last review, which was the Bruichladdich unpeated Islay Barley 2011. So he went on Reddit and did some other research, and anybody that saw my review of the Bruichladdich Islay Barley 2011, it says on the can and on the labels on the bottle that it's 6 years old and that it was distilled in 2011 and bottled in 2018. But the laser code on the back of my bottle says 2020. So someone from Reddit contacted Bruichladdich and posted it on Reddit regarding this release. And Bruichladich's response was that they made up the canisters and the labels ahead of time. And whatever the laser code reads is the actual bottling date, which means multiple batches. So there are 2018 laser codes out there. There are 2019 laser codes out there. And there are 2020 laser codes out there. And possibly others with different months for those years. So there's at least 3 batches of the unpeated Bruichladdich Islay Barley 2011. So I hope that helps clear things up. All right. So today we're going to be talking about the Port Charlotte's peated, heavily peated. We're going to be talking about and comparing the Port Charlotte Core Standard Release Port Charlotte 10 heavily peated against the Port Charlotte heavily peated Islay Barley 2013. The 2013 is the distillation date, and they are saying this is aged for 8 years. Both the laser codes on both these bottlings are from 2021. So both bottled in 2021. Both are 50% ABV. Both are non-chill filtered, no coloring added. But they do not say that anywhere on the bottles themselves. It is only printed on the metal canisters. Just so you know about that. Now, to get the elephant out of the room, I'm going to mention Ralphie because I share the same sentiment as him on his recent re-review of his Port Charlotte heavily peated 10-year-old. for me, about 3 years ago-ish, 3 to 4 years ago, maybe 2 to 3, anyway, around 3 years ago, I tried my first ever Port Charlotte 10. And although it was a competent malt, it didn't have the wow factor for me, but I also might not have been ready for it either at the time. And I've heard everybody, not everybody, but lots of people on Whiskey Base and YouTube really giving this high praise. And so I needed to revisit it, as did Ralphie. So Ralphie kind of felt the same way as I did from an older bottling of Port Charlotte, that it was okay, competent, but it didn't, I don't know, I didn't find it overly interesting, nor did it really impress me, and I didn't quite understand all the hype and hoopla around it. He has since revisited it and re-reviewed it, and I believe he gave it a 90, I think so. And I probably shouldn't say this, it's purely speculation on my part, but it wouldn't surprise me, don't tell anybody, it wouldn't surprise me if it might be Ralphie's Whiskey of the Year. But that's just speculation on my part. No rumors starting here. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but last year my Whiskey of the Year was Lejeune 10, and my review came out before Ralphie's did. So not that I'm comparing myself at all to Ralphie. He is the king. He is the king of the whiskey YouTube world. But I feel sometimes that our paths are parallel. But I am nothing compared to Ralphie at all. All right. So we've gotten the statistics out of the way here. Let's get into the review. One thing I have to say is my bottles are stored in a basement, so it's kept cool. It's naturally cool all the time, especially in the wintertime. It's probably in the 50s degrees down here, so the bottles stay cool. I highly recommend anybody that does that to bring, to warm up your glasses. If you're pouring a dram in your basement and you're bringing it upstairs, let it warm up. Put the glass in your hand for a while. Put a cap on top of it, and let it warm up so you can really experience the nuances. But I found particularly with both of these, but especially the 2013 distilled Port Charlotte Islay Barley, that it really benefits from. It needs time to open up, even as much, believe it or not, 45 minutes to an hour. I know that sounds crazy, but pour yourself a dram, put a lid on it, put it aside, and maybe pour something else that doesn't need time to open up. It really does benefit from warming up and given a little bit more time in the glass than you normally would. And I would probably recommend that for Octomore too, but anyway. All right, so we're going to start off with the core range standard Port Charlotte 10, which retails in my area for about $60 to $65, okay? The Port Charlotte Islay Barley, which is an 8-year-old, this particular one, retails for about $10 more. So the Port Charlotte 10, if you can find it for $60 to $65, you're probably going to spend $70 to $75 for the Port Charlotte Islay Barley 2013. So whatever, bottom line is you're going to spend at least $10 more for this. And we're going to find out at the end of this review if, in my opinion, it's worth it. Okay. Standard Port Charlotte core range Port Charlotte 10, which is widely available for $60, $65, maybe $70 in some areas. Okay, on the nose, it's clean and bright, a little bit of smoke, a little bit of a little vegetal, crisp melon, stone fruits like peach, a little bit of plum maybe, but stone fruits. On the nose, the peat and smoke are less prevalent than they are on the 2013 Islay Barley. So the PC10, a little bit of smoke, a little bit of peat, crisp, bright on the palate. There's a lot going on here. The palate, a slight sweetness, a bit spirity, but it's not overwhelming by any means. Very bright. It's less vegetal than the 2013 Islay Barley version. It's a bit boozy, a bit spirity, in a bright way, but it's very nice, very nice. And I think I get more fruit out of the standard Port Charlotte 10. The finish is chest warming. It has a lingering, fruity finish with much less ash than the Islay Barley. Okay. Going back to the nose. Again, there's a little bit of that peaty vegetal note in the background there, but it is there. Okay. Now to the Port Charlotte Islay Barley 2013 release. On the nose, much more smoke, especially. I've gotten. These have been open for a couple of weeks now. I've gotten well past the shoulder, but not much further than that. And upon the first few drams of this, were really smoky, very smoky, and peat, but the smoke was very pronounced, like almost like on an octomore level. All right. You're getting the vegetal on that as well. More vegetal. It's not quite, but this is almost reminds me of a toned down version of the Kilkerran 8 heavily peated. A much toned down version, but you are getting smoky, vegetal peat, a bit of grassiness on the nose, fruity gum, like fruit stripe gum. Okay, the palate. this is more robust. This has more of a mouthfeel, in my opinion. You're getting a little bit of melon, definitely mint. The mint is much more pronounced on the 2013 Islay Barley. A little bit of stone fruits in there, a little bit of that fruity gum. But the smoke, there's definitely more smoke and peat in this. And it makes sense because it's younger, so it's my understanding that the more youthful a peated whiskey is, the more pronounced that the peat and smoke usually are. Not always, but usually. It's complex. The finish, it's got a sweetness to it. It's intense. This has more. The 2013 Islay Barley has more ash on the finish, and it definitely has that chest-warming heat as well. So what I found is the first couple of weeks and the first few drams that I poured of this, I found it to be the smokiness was the dominant thing, which I think kind of covered up some of the nuances. And so right out of the gate, okay, for the first 2 weeks, I'm saying that the Port Charlotte core release 10-year-old, I enjoyed more. That was in the first 2 weeks out of the first, 4, 5, 6 pours. This hands down would have been the winner. But with more time in the glass, letting a little oxidation get to these bottles, that's kind of leveled out a little bit. The smoke seems to have calmed down a little bit, which makes sense. When you almost any heavily peated that I first open up, it's just an explosion. I mean, it just wants to get out of there. The smoke and the peat come out. So these have both calmed down a little bit. But I still think, believe it or not, they're if you really like more smoke and more peat, and a little bit more robustness, then spend the $10 more and get this. If you want a cleaner, brighter, in my opinion, a little bit fruitier, still very complex, for $10 less, you cannot go wrong with the Port Charlotte 10. And my sentiments are aligned with Ralphie's in regard to that. I am very impressed by this new bottling of Port Charlotte 10, and I felt disappointed by the one I had maybe 3 years ago, which could have been from 4 years ago from a bottling. So for the price, you cannot go wrong with the Port Charlotte 10. If you want more smoke, a little more robustness, and you want to spend $10 more just to try it, then maybe try the Islay Barley. Score-wise, in my opinion, this Port Charlotte 10 could be on any given day between I want to say like an 88 to an 89 for me, for my enjoyment. Whereas this one, I would say maybe a point less. So if I'm saying 88 or 89 for this, then we're talking 87 to 88 for this. But I can already tell that the more time these things are oxidizing, that I'm experiencing nuances from each one of these. And this is starting to impress me. The Islay Barley 2013 is starting to impress me more than it did when I first opened it 2 weeks ago. Okay, so that's where I stand on the subject of sitting. Again, thanks Sid for the behind-the-scenes detective work. He's been a great asset to my channel, as are other subscribers as well, and their names will probably get mentioned in future broadcasts. But again, thanks for helping me hit 500 subscribers, and you cannot go wrong with either one of these. But this Paulette Charlotte 10 is, for the money, you cannot go wrong. It is really a gem, and it's masterful in its production. So if you like today's show, please give it 2 thumbs up if you can. I'm only kidding. Just hit it once. If you hit it twice, then it takes away the first one. And please subscribe and consider becoming a Patreon with the link in the description below. And remember, folks, no matter how much it costs or how good it is, it's just whiskey, folks. Hats off to you all, and take care.